swift.
This is not what we expect from Australia at a Cricket World Cup. So Aaron Finch, the most recent white ball captain, has a few things to just break down on why we're seeing this Australian team the way we are, Finchy. And let's start with just selection and decision making. To drop Alex Carey after one game, if Inglis was your first choice keeper, you thought maybe they start with him. Do the selections give you any idea of whether there's some panic or uncertainty about their best 11?
I don't think there's any panic. I think if you look at the stats, Alex Carey, last 10 matches, 7 scores under 10. And it's just looked like he's been a little bit frantic when he gets to his crease. There hasn't been a real pattern to the way that he's gone about his innings. So I think going into the warm-up games, they were still confident that he could come good. And then to miss out in the first game to Jadeja, decent ball around the wicket, but you should be able to keep that out at least. So it's harsh selection, but I also thought that there is some justification behind it.
All right, let's talk about fielding. You always pride yourselves on being, I'm sorry, you're already starting to chuckle, but on a serious note though, is the standard of fielding that we've seen a result of any kind of fatigue, tiredness?
The body language on the field is quite flat at the moment from Australia. I mean, even with the ball, it's just like they're a bit standoffish. They're waiting for things to happen, and that can become contagious amongst the group as well. And the last thing you want to do is start a tournament poorly, because there's no way to get yourself back into it. And it's been a tough start. India at Chepauk and then South Africa at Lucknow. The tone was set early on, and it just hasn't recovered just yet. They need a way to freshen up mentally and physically, I think, because it's been a grueling, I guess, 2 months lead in with 5 ODIs in South Africa, 3 T20s, come to India and play 3 ODIs, and then the 2 warm-up matches when they only had 11 fit players. So that's quite grueling in itself. One-day cricket physically takes quite a bit out of you. So there's a lot to think about though.
Yeah, I guess let's talk about one of those unavailable players. And are we seeing the significance of the absence of Travis Head in the middle order there?
Oh, I think so, especially at the top. I mean, we've seen how destructive he can be, even against the best attacks in the world. If you bowl well to him, he can still smack it everywhere. So I think Australia's just missed that firepower in the power play. Sometimes it's not even the amount of runs that he gets, but the pressure that he puts on the opposition, because they know that he's going to come hard, and then they can panic and get a little bit defensive in their mindset, which then Warner gets away, and then if Marsh comes in, he gets away as well. So that was a big loss in the lead up to the tournament.
Tough start to Adam Zampa personally as well. Now there are 2 aspects here. One is the use of Zampa, and the second is how he's bowled itself. Is there any reason have you firstly noticed any dip in form or a reason why he's not been as successful, and how much do you put that down to how he's been used?
I don't think that he's bowled as much in the lead up to this tournament that he would have in the past. He's had a few neck and shoulder issues. I know he's got a little bit of a hip niggle at the moment. So whether that's just affecting him technically slightly, I don't understand the mechanics of leg spin bowling. That's not my expertise. But I think he didn't bowl his absolute best against India. But you're also bowling against the best players in the world. And I think back to the first over that he bowled, and he got cut for 2 boundaries. One of them was a good ball, might have hit the top of off stump to KL, and it slides past backward point for 4. So then all of a sudden you're on the back foot because your best ball has been hit for 4. So then you start overthinking it at times, and you might stray away from your number one plan. And it's always difficult, and it's an incredibly difficult skill to bowl too.
Yeah, I guess you are more of an authority on left arm spin though, so let's go there. Because I think there are quite a few Australian fans thinking, gee, this is why we needed a second specialist spinner and we didn't have one in the squad.
Glenn Maxwell, 2 for 34 or
so
38 yesterday.
The absence of a specialist spinner is an issue as such in these 2 games?
Oh, it would have come in handy in the first game, no doubt. But you also have to make sure that whoever you're picking in that position they're a world-class bowler. I think the amount of times that we've seen visiting teams come and play in the subcontinent, in Test cricket in particular, they pick 3 spinners, but the third one's not of Test quality. So they end up being redundant in the game anyway. So then it's a wasted position. Matt Kuhneman bowled nicely at times in the Test series. He had a chance in Sri Lanka in one-day cricket in the past. And he's a quality bowler. A little bit more defensive than Agar, not as big a spinner of the ball. That would have been an option, but when they decided to carry Travis Head with that break in his hand, knowing that he was going to be out for the first half of the tournament, that's always a risk that you're running into. You still have to cover all your bases, and they felt as though Maxwell was good enough to do that second spinning role, which he proved he was in Lucknow against South Africa.
stunning looks than swift,